All right, welcome back to the conversation on the TYT Network. We got a great guest for you guys now. Judah Friedlander joins me. He's obviously world champ. He has starred in Meet the Parents, 30 Rock, The Wrestler, Star Wars, you name it. He's been on it. Stand-up comedian and also excellent progressive. By the way, one more thing I should tell you. He's got a great Netflix special that I actually watched with my son until he started cursing a little too much. America is the greatest country in the United States. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. Actually, Judah, I don't think you cursed for like the first 20 minutes, which was amazing for a stand-up comic these days. But anyway, Judah, just before we get started with everything else, and I know you actually did a fundraiser for Just Democrat and stuff, are you still world champ?
Still the world champ, which means I'm a champion of the world, and I'm a champion of the world's rights and all the inhabitants of the world. That's who I fight for.
So does your heart hurt as the champion of the world these days for what the world is going through with coronavirus and now the unrest in America and Donald Trump, and just a little while ago Trump declaring that the military will now act within the United States and all the things that are happening?
You know, I actually just tweeted this a few days ago. I tweeted the USA's foreign policy and domestic policy are identical. And, you know, that's always been one of our problems. We're imperialists, foreign and domestic. And, you know, I actually thought martial law was going to happen a little while ago, but here we are possibly on the brink of it. So, yeah, pretty crazy. I just, you know, wish everybody to keep fighting smart, new ways to fight, and stay safe.
Yeah. Well, you've been leading voice for America being number one within the United States. So now that we lead the world in coronavirus cases and deaths, do you feel like you were prescient on that count?
I think so. You know, I think it was several years ago I was doing stand-up bits about how we're number one on things, and it seems like that's kind of become sort of a lot of people talking about that these days, unfortunately. But that's the way it is. But say what you want about our country. We're exciting, never dull. This is an exciting country. Lots of human rights violations, but exciting.
Yeah, and by the way, to your point about domestic and foreign policy being the same, that's why I always thought, like, people who thought it was inconceivable that some parts of the CIA might have been involved in killing JFK, like, wait, let me get this right. The guys who regularly killed progressive leaders of other countries throughout the world somehow would have had some moral barrier to our progressive leader being taken out, when that leader is way more important than any of the other leaders in the world for their power grab. Like, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. But the idea that they would find that unconscionable, I thought to be absurd.
Yeah, well, I mean, another joke I did years ago was, you know, people always talking about this is the general theme of the joke. People always talking about, oh, gun control. We got to fix gun control inside this country. It's like, what about our gun control outside the country? You know, we do more. We're responsible for more guns on the planet outside our country than probably any other country by a long shot.
Yeah, in fact, when defending the decapitation and dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Trump said, yeah, but we sell a lot of guns to them. Oh, I didn't know it was that serious. Okay, so I see how that justifies his violence. So, Judah, you recently participated in actually two fundraisers for Jamal Bowman, who's an awesome Just Democrat, progressive, running in New York. How'd that come about?
Yeah, so I was, you know, I do stand-up shows pretty much every night. Right now, actually, I'm only doing them, not every night, but still pretty often. I'm doing online stream shows. But one of the comedy clubs that I play fairly often in New York City, it's in Brooklyn, actually right near the Barclays Center, where a lot of the protests have been initially starting. So the owner of this comedy club actually grew up with Jamal Bowman. They went to school together. And so he was having a fundraiser one night for him. And he asked me, hey, do you want to be on this fundraiser? And, I'm someone who I don't generally endorse politicians. I endorse ideas and ideologies and philosophies. And I don't like telling people what to do. But I researched JAMAAL Bowman, and I thought he had a lot of good things on his platform. And the seat he's going for it seems like there's a lot of things very similar with what happened when AOC was running, where she was, she unseated, she ran against someone who had been there for so long, and that's a similar situation here. So I did that show. That was before the lockdown, and then just about a week ago, Eastville Comedy Club did another fundraise for him. That was a live streamed comedy show, and I did that one also. And I think he's really been doing a lot of good stuff recently, and platform wise, and the videos and that he's been putting out on social media, I think are very strong. So it's an important election. So I wish him well.
Yeah, so let me double down on two things you just said. One, Elliot Engel is a guy, until JAMAAL started running in that primary, was a Democrat who was generally hawkish and talked about how we need to do something about Iran. That is not good talk. And so that's a lot of the Democratic establishment co-signed onto our military aggression across the country. So it's about time they get cleaned out with actual progressives who don't want guns inside or outside of the country. And then secondly, if you're not following JAMAAL on Twitter, you should, because he's really putting out some amazing stories about his experiences as a black man in America and in New York. And some of them have been gut-wrenching. I've shared some here, like when he was going to pick up his kids and they arrest him, make him sit on a urine-soaked floor, and they never charge him with anything. Just arrested him because he was black. He runs a school in New York. Didn't bother asking. There was no charge. It's amazing. It's amazing what happens. So, I mean, you can really follow almost any black man in America and find similar stories. But JAMAAL has a powerful way of communicating that. So check out JAMAAL Bowman. So, Judah, now that you told me it's near the protests in Brooklyn, where you do your act and your stand-up comedy, is there some chance that the protests are centered around you, since you're the world champ, and they might want to get your attention, in these?
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, normally, I'm out there protesting and hitting the streets, and I'm wary of doing that because of the pandemic. I'm not quite ready to be getting so close to other people. And otherwise I would be there,
No, seriously, I had the same exact issue. I got kids here, I got my wife, I see my parents. We're in a way that's outside and distant, but and so I'm worried about going to the protest in the middle of coronavirus, let alone everything else, right? Yeah. And so, man, we have gotten just shellacked here. Coronavirus, civil unrest, 40 people unemployed.
I think that's what makes it even more important to support these protesters, because what they're doing is so important. And the fact that they're doing it during a pandemic is pretty unbelievable. And it's heroic. And so I wish them all well. And
yeah.
So, and I have a friend, he's a comic. He was arrested in Brooklyn the other day, and he wasn't doing anything where he should have been arrested, but they arrested him, and he lost his bike, he lost his phone, and when they throw him in the paddy wagon, there's no social distancing. They don't even have the opportunity to do social distancing. He said none of the cops were wearing masks. And, it's just, and then, and I read another report from a journalist who was arrested in New York, and he said that, the cops take off their masks, won't give them back. So it's, such a, in addition to the human rights violations they do so often. They're doing them in new ways during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, Judah, last thing, where can people check out your stream, and do you have anything that's also coming out soon?
Well, I probably have over 2 hours of new material since my last stand-up movie came out, and I have a bunch of stuff filmed from the past year, so I'm going to be self-releasing that soon, and as well as putting out another album. And I'm doing stand-up shows on Zoom for the most part, sometimes on my Instagram, for usually about 5 or 6 times a week. And that's all random. So people can check me out on mostly Instagram, Twitter, and it's Judah World Champ, Judah World Champ.
All right, Judah Friedlander, thanks for joining us on the Young Turks as usual, brother.
Yep, stay safe.
You too.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.